Well, it's the moment a lot of you have definitely been waiting for, the Overlord x Overlord collaboration. And today we are going to be counting down the weirdest scene of every single Ninjago season. But before I get into it, I think it's time I introduce you to my twin, Overlord1469.
What's up, people? I'm Overlord X's twin brother, Overlord1469. I believe this is my second or third collab with Overlord on his channel, so you guys are probably familiar with me, but in case you're not, I am also a Ninjago YouTuber. I make general discussions, rankings, and a couple edits, so if you aren't interested in seeing that sort of stuff, please go click the link in the description and go visit my channel.
So yeah, with this intro out of the way, I think it's time that we finally present to you the weirdest scene of every single Ninjago season.
For the pilots, Overlord and I actually chose a very memeable scene. So if you remember, at the very end of the pilot, Samukai became a vortex and Garmadon went through it to go to the Realm of Madness. However, just before Garmadon entered the vortex, Wu said this pretty hilarious line. "Father would not want you to do this, brother." That was an 11 out of 10. Hilarious. The thing with this scene, though, is that earlier in production, the producers were actually trying out a Japanese accent with Wu. I guess they never had Wu's voice actor, Paul Dobson, fix that. But hey, I'm glad it stayed because we got some great meme material. Honestly, this is one of the most memeable scenes in Ninjago. It's so weird that it's funny. That's why it deserved to be on this list.
For Season 1, we have a scene that's just pure weird, but also very funny. The scene I'm talking about is the time Jay is out on a date with Nia, and due to the events that happened earlier on in the episode, he runs to the bathroom and finds out that he's actually turning into a snake. What makes this scene so weird is the fact that they just awkwardly zoom in on Jay's snake tail throughout the scene, and his clothing. It just makes for a pretty silly, weird, and kind of funny scene. In my eyes, this one will always be one that just makes you think, man, what were the writers smoking when thinking up the ideas for this scene?
For Season 2, we chose another scene that is so weird that it's funny. So if you remember, in the first half of Season 2, Episode 3, this was during the Mega Weapon arc, the Serpentine and Garmadon were planning how to annoy the ninja. Of course, as an honorable mention, we do have to recognize Chokun's suggestion for Garmadon to make a giant ham sandwich, but the weirdest thing about this scene was Garmadon doing this. Over the side! After every suggestion, Garmadon kept kicking more and more Serpentine off the Black Bounty, and that was just amazing. So good. Like I said, it's so weird that it's funny. That is another very memeable Ninjago scene, and honestly, I think it is very deserving to be on this list.
For Season 3 Rebooted, the weirdest scene to us was the scene in which Nia has to choose between the black and blue wire to save both Cole and Jay from being crushed to pieces. So yeah, it's a scene from the Love Triangle arc. What makes it weird, and also very stupid in a way, is simply the fact that she's basically forced into choosing between a black and blue wire, of course symbolising Jay and Cole. Just as things couldn't get even weirder and even cringier, it causes even more tension between Jay and Cole. What happens when you put all of this together though? You get the weirdest scene from the season, and, well, also a very rubbish scene in general. Now, please, just make me forget about it.
This next scene we're going to discuss is just plain weird. So if you remember, in episode 5 of season 4, Nia and Dareth wanted to sneak into Chen's temple. Nia still had her casual clothes on, and Dareth was just hanging around. But then Dareth did the weirdest thing. In the span of about 5 seconds, Dareth was able to change all of Nia's clothes, and not just that, Dareth was able to give Nia a kabuki style of facial makeup. Well, first of all, it's very weird that he did it in a short amount of time, but where did he even get the clothes from? He did have the makeup kit, so I guess that was sort of reasonable. But yeah, even the clothes. Bruh. Dareth was not even engaged to this woman, so why did he change her clothes without her consent? Also, keep in mind that Dareth is probably in his mid-30s while Nia is underage, so that just makes the scene even weirder. Yeah, overall, this is just one of the most questionable Ninjago scenes out there.
Oh boy, so coming up next for Possession is a scene that I didn't actually originally remember. Shout out to Overlord for reminding me, but it's the scene in which the ninja are all inside Yang's temple, and out of literally nowhere, Zayn scares Cole with his falcon. At first, you may think that this scene is just flat out funny, and while I agree, yeah, it is quite humorous, It almost just feels so out of character for Zane to do that, when the ninja could literally be in huge amounts of danger. The Falcon just appears out of nowhere, causing Cole to scream on purpose. Yeah, very strange stuff going on here.
For Season 6. If you remember, in Season 6, Episode 7, Wishmasters, Nia, Cole, and Lloyd wanted to go save Jay in Misfortune's Keep. Cole went on to save Jay, while Nia and Lloyd stayed behind in a Sky Pirate vehicle. However, Clancy showed up for some inspection. He started explaining the whole hierarchy of Nauticron's crew. But this scene was weird because, one, Nia's mustache started twisting. You know, it was kind of funny that Clancy didn't realize. And then there was the whole issue with Lloyd. Lloyd was supposed to be Mutt the Mute, but then he had to whisper mustache in order for Nia to realize that her mustache was twisting. I don't know how Nia didn't realize this herself, but hey, we did end up with Mutt the Miracle, if you think that's a good thing. This is a really odd scene, so that's why Overlord and I thought it was fitting to include it in the video.
Since we are covering pretty much every main piece of Ninjago media here, it's only right that Day of the Departed is included on this list. This was a pretty tough one to think of when it comes to weird scenes. However, in the end, we found one. And that was the scene in which the Royal Blacksmiths are awkwardly performing some music to celebrate Day of the Departed. Dareth is there hosting it, and some villains show up and start attacking people. Not only is this a straight up weird scene, it also feels slightly unnecessary and really silly. Like, did we really need to have this scene thrown in there at all? Could this time not have been spent on a more important part of the special? Really?
Hands of Time! Woo! This one was a very random choice by the writers. So, at the very end of episode 3, A Time of Traitors, Zane finally reactivated. And then he was like, 4, 7, 2, 1, 9. Something like that. And then the credits rolled. I'm sure that fans at the time were like, what do those numbers mean? Whoa! What does this mean? Well, we get over to the next episode and it's very anticlimactic. Zane just reboots and then he's like, Nia, that pudding was a flab. 823. The narwhal horn is red as weather is greater than pudding. Really odd word choices. And then later in episode 4, he's all like, cranberry, corkscrew. Very random words by Zane's part. I mean, I get it. It's not his fault that Zane was doing that, but as a writing choice, very odd. I feel like this was a very random choice in Hands of Time, hence why we believe it is a very weird Ninjago scene. Nothing much else to say, that's just what it is.
When it comes to weird scenes in Season 8 Sons of Garmadon, honestly, I immediately knew what this would be. Yep, it's Lloyd being a total pervert in episode 1 of Sons of Garmadon. To be more specific, the scene in which Lloyd just casually stalks Harumi's room as she's taking off her face paint. Genuinely, I have no idea what he was even thinking with this. The Destined Green Ninja, the face of Ninjago City, shamelessly staring into someone's private bedroom, watching what they're doing, then just casually walking away. Yeah, Lloyd really exposed himself there.
For Hunted, you all saw this one coming. Dareth wanted to have his own elemental power. Well, you know what he does? He goes up to Mistake, he drinks this tea, and then he gets his brown power. Well, sure, it's cool for Dareth to have his own elemental power. But then the funny thing about this is that as soon as he uses it, he gets this really big urge to go pee. I found this extremely hilarious, and honestly, it must have been super embarrassing for Dareth. Dareth could finally use his elemental power, but in order to use it, he has to risk wetting his pants. That was honestly really funny. An interesting writing choice, but hey, I'm not complaining. That was very comedic, a very fitting moment to be in this video.
The weirdest scene of Season 10, March of the Oni. Well, you already know which scene I'm choosing, Cold's Fall. I won't go too in depth here as I am planning to make a whole separate video on this topic soon, but it's weird for a few reasons. The main reason being, why? Just why? Why was this needed at all? It had essentially no impact on anyone. All it really did was lead the ninja to believe that Cole was dead for about one episode, just for him to casually disappear again. You know what? No, this scene isn't just weird, but it's also one of the stupidest scenes Ninjago has ever introduced. Please someone, just do me a favour and delete this entire scene and moment from my mind.
Season 11 is a weird season on its own, so there were lots of moments to pick from, but the one we decided to go with was in episode 19. the absolute worst. The absolute worst is one of my own personal least favorite Ninjago episodes. You know, there was all the 2D animation with the ninja, but then there was this one fugitive scene which just left me struck. I don't know how else to describe it. The ninja were all on these different gliders, and then they were all like, the famous fugitive! Okay, so you're praising Fugitive as this amazing villain, yet he's not. Fugitive is a very odd Ninjago character, so I don't really have much else to comment about this scene. I guess this scene in particular was trying to emphasize that Fugitive was a cool character, yet he really isn't in my opinion. He's just a character that exists in the show. Period. But yeah, nothing else to say. A scene which was just really odd.
When it comes to weird scenes from Prime Empire, there's definitely a few you could mention, but one that stands out to me is the Shifty scene. You know, that weird English guy selling supplies in the middle of nowhere? Yep, it's him. What made this scene so weird in my eyes was Shifty's overall behaviour. You can instantly tell that this guy was trying to secretly hit on Nia or something, and it wasn't in a funny, humorous way. If anything, it just felt slightly creepy to me. We can only hope that this guy didn't make it out of the game. If he did, ladies and gentlemen, we have another Nadekam type character on our hands.
Now, for Season 13, I made a whole video dedicated to this one choice on my channel. If you guys want to go check it out, just look it up. But Cole had this very odd choice of dialogue. In Season 13, Episode 7, the Skull Sorcerer, Vanya, Wu, and Cole wanted to tell Vangelis about the Skull Sorcerer and everything that was going on in the dungeons of Shintaro. So they went, but then Cole said this one piece of dialogue. You know, Vangelis, the skull is red. Is it though? If you take a look at the skull of Hazador, it's actually green. Sure, maybe Cole made a mistake with the skull of Hazador. Maybe he saw it incorrectly, but could this imply that Cole is colorblind? There is such thing as a type of colorblind where you can confuse red with green. But at the same time, Cole can distinguish who is the red and green ninja, you know? Because of this one piece of dialogue, lots of Ninjago fans were left thinking, and that's why we think it is a very weird scene.
The island. You know what this means? Spoiler, mini rant is coming up. Twitchy Tim, please just remove him from my mind already. His introduction scene made me want to end my life there, if I'm honest. Just joking, obviously, but yeah, this is what I call a huge failed attempt at comedy. It's just weird, none of the jokes landed particularly well, and it was overall a very awkward and uncomfortable scene to watch. So by far, this is the weirdest scene from the island, in my opinion.
Now for the last moment in the video, we have to look over Seabound. If you remember in episode 11, Kai was chasing Kalmar as Kalmar chased Antonia and Nelson for the Storm Amulet. So once they reached this drawbridge, Nelson and Antonia were able to get to the other side because the drawbridge was at a good elevation for them to be able to get to the other side. However, Kai and Kalmar didn't have the same fortune. The drawbridge got so steep that the truck they were in went up into the air. Kai and Kalmar ended up screaming their lives out, and then they fell into the river. Just seeing the animation of Kai and Kalmar screaming was very odd, especially Kalmar. During the airing of Seabound, Kalmar became a very funny character in terms of his facial expressions, and this one in particular was kinda hilarious. That's why we thought it was fitting to include it in the video. So yeah, that's gonna do it. First of all, I'd like to give a huge thanks to Overlord for inviting me to collaborate on his channel. I greatly appreciate it. As of the time of this recording, I already know this video is going to be great, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, please let me know when you want to collaborate again in the future, because I'm always down. Subscribe to Overlord, and please don't forget to go visit my channel if you haven't yet. The link is in the description.
Wow, there we have it. We have gone over each and every single Ninjago season's weirdest scene. Huge shout out to Overlord1469 for joining me today. Be sure to click the link at the very top of the description and subscribe to him if you haven't already. He is trying to reach 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so hey, why not go and help him out? It would be much appreciated. Be sure to also leave your opinions on all of this down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed today's video, then be sure to drop a like on it. If you're new around here and are interested in seeing even more content just like this, then be sure to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell on so that you never miss out on any future Ninjago content from me. Finally though, with all of this being said, I will see you all in my next one.